Greetings, everyone. Welcome to E-Cell Radiance, Illuminating the Entrepreneurial Real Landscape. I'm your host, Ishan from E-Cell RGPV, and today we have a truly inspiring individual with us, Miss Palak Khanna, a 20-year-old dynamo who wears many hats: social entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, mentor, teacher, environmentalist, and much more, whilst also managing her studies. A very good evening to you, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Ishan. Such a pleasure to be a part of this. And I hope that everyone who's listening actually takes something from it, implements it, gets motivated. So, yeah, excited for the conversation.
Okay, so could you give us a brief introduction about yourself for the audience and tell us more about your journey and what led to you becoming a social entrepreneur at such a young age?
Definitely. So I'll first introduce myself. Hi everyone, I am Palak. I am currently a 20-year-old. I don't know how many people here in the room who will be listening to this will be of a similar age bracket. So I'm currently 20. I'm a college student. Along with that, I'm a social entrepreneur. Have an organization called Break the Ice, where we try to literally break the ice about taboos, everything which is important but often ignored. So it's a social enterprise. We are working on, again, talking about things which are important but often ignored. So, mental health, gender equality, climate change, everything which is important essentially. And yeah, we are in 10 countries, started it out in basically 2 years back. And since you asked, why did I start the organization? I think it's a very um, random, unique journey. I was a massive introvert in school. And I think it was during COVID that I just overheard a conversation between my mom and my domestic help. She had had her periods at our place, and during COVID, she had stayed at our house rather than going back to her village. And I overheard that conversation, and I was thinking, she's so uncomfortable talking about something so normal. And that's when I realized maybe there should be a platform where we talk about things which are, considered taboo. So yeah, that's how I ultimately started the organization. And it was a random journey because as an introvert, I knew I can never do business. I thought I could never be an entrepreneur because businesses are all about people. And as an introvert, you hate people. You're like, you're uncomfortable with people. So for me,
Yeah.
I knew I don't want to be an entrepreneur. That's not my cup of tea. But yeah, after that incident, I thought, why not just take that leap of faith and try it out? So yeah, has been 2 years. I've been running it for around 2 years. We create awareness drives, we're doing workshops, we collaborated with 20 partners, and we're in 10 countries. So yeah, going well as of now. And along with being a social entrepreneur, I know this is an entrepreneurial podcast, but I'm also a content creator on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you for your introduction. So now moving on with the questions. So how did you manage everything at such a young age? इतना सब कुछ करा आपने, सब कुछ ऐसे जगल करना. How did you manage it?
Deep question. I think agar I say a very fancy answer, I know कि nobody will feel कि it's real. I have struggled so much, and जब भी you see reels or you see motivational videos, people make it so easy that it's just about time management. It's nothing. You can do so many things. Honestly, it hampers your mental health so much because at the back of your mind, आप अगर एक time alone भी ले रहे हो ना, आप कोई movie भी देख रहे हो, at the back of your mind you are thinking next चीज क्या करनी है मुझे. When I'm done with this movie, what am I doing next?
Yeah.
Because there's so much on your plate. So for me also, that's happened a lot of times. What I try to do is, and again, this is a very personal approach, it may or may not work with everyone. I make to-do lists. That's the only thing which works well for me because मेरा time बहुत अच्छे से manage होता है because I know कि I have set a goal कि इस day में मुझे ये 10 चीजें करनी है. How do I do it is up to me. एंड दैट वर्क्स वेरी वेल फॉर मी बिकॉज मैं टाइम बाउंड्रीज में बहुत अच्छा वर्क करती हूँ. बट इफ यू से मुझे अगले आधे घंटे में करना, आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू इट. आई विल गेट एंशियस, आई विल प्रोकेस्टिनेट एंड आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू एनीथिंग. If you say I have to do it in the next 24 hours, I know I'll be able to do it. कैसे भी, but I will make sure that I'm doing it properly. So for me, time management is only when ki to-do list rakho. If it's so, what I'm trying to manage right now is college, is content creation, is the venture, plus a lot of internships and volunteer positions that I take up. So I'm very passionate about social impact. तो वो भी साइड में चल रहा होता है. Whenever I'm like कि shit बहुत overwhelming हो रहा है, I only do one thing: open your phone, open the notes app, write whatever has to be done in that day, prioritize the task, and get it done by the end of the day. And I don't know how many people would understand it. Try it out. If it works for you, just stick to it. Some people say Pomodoro effect works very well, that
Yeah.
technique. Some people would say कि नहीं, I procrastinate, I don't know how to manage क्योंकि स्टडीज है, ओवरवेलमिंग है, मार्क्स लाने हैं, करियर बनाना है. बट आई वुड से एक्सप्लोर and understand what is the time management tool which works for you. To do list, try it out. अगर work करता है, just stick to it and
Yeah.
make sure that you ultimately just stick to it. ऐसे नहीं बस to do list बना ली and 24 hours में कुछ किया नहीं and then you're complaining. So make sure you stick to it. So yes.
That's a great approach. Mostly people make to-do list, but they just end up piling it up and do not work on it. That's a
Yeah.
bit of an issue, but yeah, people can try it out. So the next question is, you have been recognized as Asia's 100 women power leaders and business world's well-being 30 under 30 and India's 20 under 20. So, which is a remarkable achievement, but do you feel any pressure of owning the positions and then responsibility that comes with it?
Of course. So personally, I'm a proper anxious perfectionist. For people who are a similar, peer, they will realize what I'm saying. So I anyways put too much pressure on myself to try out things. And because of course I'm very grateful कि ऐसी opportunities मिलते हैं, ऐसे titles मिलते हैं. And when you win, you feel okay, I'm getting recognized and I'm feeling validated. My work is getting validated. So of course that's the good side. But the bad side is that of course you have to then work to prove yourself for that title. क्योंकि जिस काम के लिए you've got that title, you also now have to prove to the title that I was worth it, right? And not just for people. For me personally, I'm a very like personal pressure kind of a person. I put pressure on myself. My parents are chill, my entire family is chill, everyone's been supportive, but the only thing that I do is put pressure on myself. So for some people they would feel kitty privileged hai. But for other people, they know when personal pressure is there, it's bigger than everybody else's pressure. The internal pressure is so much that you're trying to figure out ki yaar, what can I do to prove to myself that I'm doing enough. So that's a constant thing. And like I said, I always try to like work well. And but I'm also someone, because I talk about taboos and I talk about mental health very openly, I also know ki what are my boundaries. I know what are things जिसके बाद I will feel कि नहीं, this is now hampering my mental health. वेदर इट इज क्योंकि बहुत सारा काम है, ओवरवेलमिंग हो रहा है, या मे बी कि अच्छे से नहीं हो पा रहा सब कुछ क्योंकि इतना सब कुछ है. सो आई नो माई बाउंड्रीज वेरी वेल. वेन एवर आई फील लाइक कि नहीं, दिस इज नाउ ओवरवेलमिंग मी, तब आई स्टेप बैक. तो दैट इज ऑल्सो समथिंग दैट आई विश की पीपल ऑल्सो इम्प्लीमेंट. थोड़ी सी अवेयरनेस इंपॉर्टेंट है कि यार दिस इज माई लिमिट. इफ आई वर्क बियॉन्ड 10 hours मे बी, देन आई नो आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू वेल. कुछ भी हो सकता है, राइट? यू शुड नो योर ट्रिगर्स, यू शुड नो योर कॉजेस एंड जस्ट स्टॉप राइट देन. कि मेंटल हेल्थ में मत हैम्पर होने दो, बिकॉज वी आर ऑल यंग, वी आर ट्राइंग टू बी वेरी एम्बिशियस, वी शुड एक्सप्लोर, बट यू शुड नो योर लिमिट्स.
Yeah, as they say, with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
So that was a great answer. So we also know that you are a world record holder. Congratulations on that. So कैसी क्या है उसके पीछे की कहानी आप शेयर करना चाहेंगे? किस चीज़ के लिए
Definitely.
मिला था?
So, of course. So I'll give you a backstory. So I had started writing on LinkedIn when I opened my organization, and I know कि a lot of students like me, when I started out, I thought LinkedIn बहुत professional platform है. So I don't know if I'll be able to use it well, right? But because I opened an organization, I was thinking, where can I connect with founders? And I knew across all social media, LinkedIn is the one. So I had downloaded LinkedIn at that time, and I started, commenting on other people's opinions and their posts, because I used to like commenting, adding my opinions. And that's when I realized that maybe people want to hear the student perspective. So I started creating on LinkedIn. This was again just 1 month, 1.5 months after I opened my organization. And I got active on it. And that's when someone reached out to me that we are creating a world record for International Women's Day. And this would be with a bunch of women. I think it was 80 women, I'm not very sure, who will be creating a world record for the impact they have created. And these are women from across the world. And this is the Book of World Records UK. Right. And wahan pe it started, and I was very intrigued because I was thinking, how is this possible? How is someone reaching out to me that you should be a part of a world record? So yeah, that happened. And International Women's Day, we set a record of impact created by women across all the countries that the women were representing. So yeah, that was, and how did it feel? It felt amazing. It was honestly very unexpected, and I was thoda sa zyada overwhelmed because it was in the very initial stages, right? You're trying to build an organization, but COVID is happening, but you're trying to, prove ki impact hai, genuine impact hai. And then when you get an opportunity like this, you're like, okay, maybe this is getting credible. So it was a great, great feeling. And I think till date, I feel like, how did it actually happen? I mean, it was very random, but I'm very, very grateful for it.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great experience. That would have been a great experience. So, how
Yes.
can students like you manage to do such things? Matlab, what are your opinion or what are your suggestions for students who wish to do such things in college life?
Mhm.
Would you
Got it.
elaborate?
So I'll take it up in two parts. One
Yeah.
would be if you want to get into entrepreneurship, you need to have a clear idea ki what is the idea I want to work on. And I say this everywhere I go because all of us, after we watch Shark Tank, na, everybody has
Yeah.
this feeling ki maybe I can be a good entrepreneur. Right? सबके दिमाग में है क्या शायद I can be a good entrepreneur, and everybody is now pumped up कि I want to try it out. But where we go as students is पहले तो yes, you need to know एक इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग आइडिया होना चाहिए जिससे
Yeah.
यू फील कि यू वांट टू गिव इट योर टाइम, क्योंकि क्या होगा तुम एक बहुत बेसिक आइडिया लोगे ना जिसमें तुम्हें इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं है, यू विल फील ठीक है एग्जाम्स चल रहे हैं बाद में कंटिन्यू कर लेंगे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, यू विल नॉट बी मोटिवेटेड टू मैनेज इट. तो नंबर वन, योर आइडिया शुड बी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड इट शुड बी कनेक्टेड टू वन ऑफ योर पैशंस. बहुत क्लोजली हैव जो भी तुम्हारा पैशन है उस पर ही अंडरस्टैंड गैप्स क्या है उस इंडस्ट्री में और उसी से अपना आइडिया बनाओ सो दैट यू फील कि मेरे में मोटिवेशन है उसे कंटिन्यू करने की. It's a proven fact 90% of startups fail in the first 2 to 3 years. Simply because
Yeah.
आधे से ज़्यादा लोग मोटिवेटेड ही नहीं होते बिकॉज स्टार्टअप लगता बहुत फैंसी है बट व्हेन यू गेट इनटू इट, आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट्स नॉट गुड, बट यू रियली हैव टू स्ट्रगल. स्टार्टिंग के बहुत मंथ्स, यू नो अ कपल ऑफ ईयर्स, यू विल स्टिल फील व्हाई एम आई डूइंग दिस बिकॉज यू आर सो ओवरवेल्म्ड कि यार सब कुछ कैसे मैनेज होगा. एंड जब आप स्टूडेंट हो तो वो एडिशनल प्रेशर है. तो आई वुड से आइडिया वो लेना जो तुम्हारे पैशन के पास हो, बहुत क्लोजली कनेक्टेड हो. फॉर मी, आई वॉज ऑलवेज अ पैशनेट इन्वायरमेंटलिस्ट. मुझे बहुत इन्वायरमेंट, नथिंग, आई वॉज एन इंट्रोवर्ट, तो और कुछ नहीं था मेरे दिमाग में. मेरे दिमाग में बस ये चीज थी कि यार इन्वायरमेंट के लिए आई विल डेफिनेटली डू समथिंग. एंड व्हेन कोविड हैपेंड, व्हेन आई ओपन ब्रेक द आइस, आई थॉट इसमें हाउ कैन आई कनेक्ट द इन्वायरमेंट, क्योंकि टैबूज में डायरेक्टली इन्वायरमेंट नहीं आता ना मन में. एंड दैट्स व्हेन आई
Yeah.
थॉट कि ठीक है, इन्वायरमेंट के साथ माई अल्टीमेट गोल वॉज टू क्रिएट अ बेटर सोसाइटी. टैबूज ब्रेक होंगे तो बेटर सोसाइटी बनेगी. सो दैट्स हाउ आई ट्राई टू नेविगेट कि ठीक है मेरा पैशन ये था एंड देन आई नेविगेट माई आइडिया. तो नंबर वन, इफ यूर अ स्टूडेंट, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप करनी है तो हैव अ गुड आइडिया. The second thing I would say is if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, थोड़ा सा एक्सपेरिमेंट करो एंड अपनी टारगेट ऑडियंस बहुत क्लियर रखना. आई नो दिस विल बिकम अ वेरी बिजनेस ओरिएंटेड पॉडकास्ट, सो आई रिस्ट्रिक्ट माई आंसर नाउ, बट टारगेट ऑडियंस बहुत क्लियर रखना. अदरवाइज इफ यू फील तुम्हारी ऑडियंस सब लोग हैं तो कोई ऑडियंस नहीं. एंड आई लर्न दिस द हार्ड वे. When I started Break This, I thought ठीक है we will talk about taboos and I'll keep it open to all age groups. दिक्कत क्या है, you know, breaking taboos is a good thing. Everyone would want to be associated. Then I realized and I learned it from one of my mentors कि नहीं, अगर तुम्हारी टारगेट ऑडियंस कोई नहीं है ना तो तुम्हारी ऑडियंस ही कोई नहीं. हैव अ कोर टारगेट ऑडियंस. रियलाइज ठीक है आई विल टॉक टू यंग पीपल. सो हमारी पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज नाउ ब्रेकिंग टैबूज विद द यूथ. So for everyone who's starting out, one thing, idea close to passion so that it motivates you. Secondly, have a clear target audience because everyone is not your audience. कोई ऐड होना चाहता है वो ऑटोमेटिकली होगा चाहे वो टारगेट ऑडियंस में ना भी हो, बट आपको क्लियर होना चाहिए कि ये मेरी टारगेट ऑडियंस, सो दैट आपको समझ आपका इम्पैक्ट भी क्या है. एंड थर्ड थिंग वुड बी इट लुक्स वेरी ग्लैमरस, इट विल टेक टाइम, इट इज अ गुड थिंग टू गेट इनटू, बट इफ यू हैव द स्किल्स. अब स्किल्स नहीं है तो बिल्ड भी हो सकती है, बट अगेन इट विल टेक योर टाइम एंड योर कमिटमेंट. And the second thing is, since you mentioned how can we get into it, so two things I am
Yeah.
into is entrepreneurship and content. Content me if you want to get into, so content creation. Think about if you have the passion for it. Again, I knew as an introvert कि मैं Instagram पे videos नहीं बना सकती, मेरे में नहीं है वो, do you know that confidence to do it. But I knew कि I can write well. I was always an author and a writer. So I knew कि written में मैं अच्छे से लिख सकती हूँ because it's not about showing myself, it's about writing my emotions, right? That's when I said कि ठीक है,
Absolutely.
LinkedIn sounds good to me because it's helping me use my strength, but also not, you know, making me very underconfident and conscious. Again, if that happens, it is okay. You need to step out of your comfort zone as well. But I knew कि
Yeah.
ठीक है, this is what I want to do, baby, because it's थोड़ा सा in my comfort zone. I want to explore it more. So again, content if you want to get into as a student, it can help you a lot. I'm not saying which platform, depends on you as a person, but you need to explore it as well if you feel like you have it in you. Why? Jobs, networking, opportunities, maybe a potential career, all of it you'll understand right now. अगर कॉलेज के बाद करोगे यू विल फील लाइक यार फुल टाइम जॉब है, अब कैसे
Hmm.
होगा, यहाँ पे एक फुल टाइम एंटरप्रेन्योर हूँ यार,
Yeah.
बहुत चीजें है मैनेज करने को.
Hmm.
अभी करोगे यू विल नो, ठीक है, इन द नेक्स्ट 1.5 year you will know whether I want to continue this or not, right? So yeah, I think those are the two things I am into, so I can help in that. But yeah, I hope that answers the question well.
Yeah, it answers the questions very well. Also, there's a major doubt among students that they do not have the support of their families. So, how was it in your case? Was your family helpful?
So, like I said, my mom, so when that conversation happened, I actually went up to my mom only, ki, why are we not talking about periods openly? And my mom said that if you're passionate about it, do something about it. So it's always been support. And she was the one who pushed me ki if you feel that passionately, kuch karo, then you should do something about it. Because if you're coming up to me
Hmm.
and saying, कि, periods के बारे में conversation करते हैं, why are we not talking about it with my domestic help? So then you should do something about it. So it's always been supportive. And yeah, it's been good. But of course, there are hesitations, but there is always support.
Yeah.
Ki if you are able to do it, go ahead.
Hmm. Okay, that's great. Having family support is very important for anyone.
Yes.
So, can you share a moment or experience that has been most rewarding or impactful in your journey so far? वो रिजल्ट दिख
Okay,
रहा है आपका
wow.
आउटकम आपकी जर्नी का कुछ ऐसा पॉइंट.
That's a good question. I'm thinking कि of course there are many. There are qualitative, there are quantitative. बहुत सारे ऐसे moments होते हैं where you feel like okay something good is happening. But
Yeah.
one moment was when so we organize a lot of drives with students and
Hmm.
everyone through Break the Ice. And when students give feedback of how well that drive was, you know, what they took back home, उनकी conversations with their parents, with their friends after those conversations. So mental health पे अगर हमने एक workshop करी, people come back, you know, messaging saying कि, you know, आज when I went back home, I talked to my mom and my dad and my grandfather about mental health. That is the moment where you feel like okay something is happening which is positive. Of course it'll take a lot of time, of course we need more people to join in, but starting point pe, it's a very good feeling to see ki going back and talking to your grandfather, of course it's something that you took back with you. So yeah, those moments are moments where I feel ki nice, this is good, we need to just take more of it.
It's just awesome. So customer satisfaction at its peak. So shall we move on to the audience questions now?
Sure.
There have been a lot of questions in the YouTube comments. I'll just take it one by one. So first question, how did you as an introvert become comfortable operating as a social entrepreneur in a more extroverted role?
Nice. So again, I won't say that it happens overnight. I would never say that because I'm a very realistic, practical person. It takes a lot of
Yeah.
time to actually get comfortable. And बहुत सारे moments में, so when I started Break the Ice, I was still an introvert and I was thinking कि कितना ironic है. I'm not able to talk about my own feelings. How will I talk about taboos? So I then knew कि I have to take very conscious choices of getting out of my comfort zone. For some people, and this will sound very strange, but thoda sa if you become more confident now, so automatically you become better as an extroverted person, because it's not bad being an introvert. Introverts also work very well.
Yeah.
But it is about understanding कि मैं अपने customers के साथ extroverted हूँ, मैं अपने customers के साथ confident हूँ. Internally, I can be an introverted person, right? So what I did was, number one, practice a lot. बहुत practice, you know, just practice conversations, because introverts को nervousness इसलिए भी होती है because they feel that maybe what I add in a conversation is not valuable enough. वो constant एक fear रहता है कि maybe I'm not very lot of value. So if you practice, you know कि नहीं, what I said was very valuable, and then you get confident conversation after conversation. So number one, I practiced.
Yeah.
Number two, like I said, a very weird thing what I did, I stood in front of the mirror and I used to talk to myself as if I'm talking to someone else. And it's a good networking hack also. So when you're going to an event, when you're going to a pitching competition, and you know कि कुछ questions तो आएंगे, stand in front of the mirror and answer as if you're answering on the stage. It makes you so much more comfortable because you know कि on the spot आपको उतनी nervousness नहीं होगी because you're slightly prepared. तो दैट हेल्प मी अ लॉट एंड आई थॉट कितना स्ट्रेंज है मैं मिरर के सामने खड़ी हूँ, इतना इतना वियर्ड है, बट व्हेन यू एक्चुअली डू इट यू फील लाइक नो, this is worth it because it makes you much more comfortable in answering anything and in talking to people. So when you go for a networking event also, so one side of entrepreneurship is also networking with the right people, right? Customers, who investors, who mentors, who, and for me it took a while to get comfortable because I was thinking networking is very weird because you just go up to introducing yourself. And I was very uncomfortable about it because, again, as an introvert, you don't know how to start conversations also. You're like, small talk karu, nahi karu, is it valuable? Should I, what will they think of me? And when I practice in front of the mirror, then when I used to go up in front of people and introduce myself, then I realized, nay, I'm getting better at it. So if an entrepreneur, an aspiring entrepreneur is listening to this, practice, and also make sure that you take pauses wherever needed. So it's okay to be an introvert, it's okay to say less, but talk valuable things. Even in front of your mentors, investors, tell them more about your journey, talk about your why. Customers could tell your story, but make sure that you make the most out of everything and don't let that self doubt come in the middle. And it's taken me 2 years to say this. So it is a journey. It won't happen overnight, but when it happens, you'll feel much more comfortable.
Okay, that was a great answer. Hope it answered your question, Akshat. So the next question. So the next question is from Drishti. Was your parents' reaction when you told them that you want to become a businesswoman?
I think I covered this very
Yeah.
like slightly, but again, my mom actually pushed me to say ki if you feel that confident and you're provoked about this conversation, then do something about it. So number one, that was the support I needed, and honestly, I am from a business background, so my dad is a businessman. So when he got to know, he was so excited to a next level. He was saying, finally, you are exploring things, because again, I was the nerd who didn't have a social life. That is how I describe myself in school. That was literally me. And for my dad, he knew very well कि business तो ये कभी नहीं करेगी, because again, you know from someone's personality, right? And when I told him that I wanted to explore business, he was the happiest, honestly. He was saying, finally, you're getting into it and you're exploring, and hope it works out for you. And if you need any support, then I'm always here. So, yeah, it's been positive reactions always.
But that's great. So I hope it answered your question, Drishti. Now, next question from Harsh. How do you generate revenue as a startup which works in philanthropic side of things?
That's a great question. So, number one, whenever, so it's a myth कि social entrepreneurship में you can't earn money. That's not true. It depends on your business model. It also depends on what is the type of social enterprise you are working in, right? One of it can be an NGO, one of it can be an NPO. Again, ours is an NGO plus an NPO. So we know very clearly कि profit नहीं बन सकता, but that doesn't mean that you don't earn out of it, because of course you have to sustain yourself also. So what I would say is, how do you generate revenue? There are various ways. There are grants, there are programs, there are CSR initiatives. It's about, and again, I also feel like students don't have that kind of awareness कि कहाँ से क्या कर सकते हैं. So what I suggest to everyone, and I know this is diverting from the question, but again, the answer to the question is there are many sources. Donations, grants, CSR initiatives. There are various ways in which you can get funded for social enterprises and for philanthropic startups. But again, for that and for that better understanding, make sure you have a database of grants, of things that you can actually get that funding from, and have a mentor who has done it, who's been there, done that, who can tell you the right way, so that you don't make the mistakes that at least they have made, because they will guide you really well. And as students, as personally as a student myself, I never knew ki there can be a good mentor until I got my mentors. That's when I realized that this is a pro bono service that they are giving simply because they appreciate your work. So if you have a question on revenue, you have a question on finances, you have a question on any kind of business models, make sure you have the right mentor to guide you. And again, this is something I learned during my 2 years of journey of being an entrepreneur, that yes, if you have the right mentor, they will tell you. They will, two of my mentors actually share grants with me. They say the deadline is coming soon, apply. So make sure that you have the right people around you to support you and just tell you ki this is an opportunity, you might not miss out. So make sure you have that. And yeah, I hope I've answered that.
So could you share more about how to find the right mentor and how to make it a fruitful relation with
Sure.
mentors?
So again, it depends on what is the platform you're using. हो सकता है you are reaching out to mentors online. हो सकता है you are reaching out to them offline. Online है, तो I would say, network your way through getting the right person. But for it to be a long run relation, not just a connection or a network, right? You have to make sure that you also give it your all. What happened with a few of my mentors is that they would support me, but then of course they are very busy because they are experienced professionals, and as students what we lose out on is we don't update them. We don't share what's been up, what's been going on, where do I need the guidance, where am I struggling. So one thing that I have learned, which I would say, is once you have a mentor, make sure that you commit to it. You go back to them, you tell them what's happening. And how do you get the right mentors? LinkedIn can help, of course. Just make sure you're very clear with kaisa mentor you want, and only reach out to those people. Of course, the top notch people will not reply. Let's be honest, right? They are busy, they are committed, they are extremely, like, they don't have the time to read their DMs. But people who have been there, done that, maybe are in the field right now, and you know that this is a person, maybe you're someone who's interested in marketing, right? You see a person who's an experienced marketer, who's very active on LinkedIn, and who has also faced difficulties, and they've shared their story. When you reach out to them and they agree to maybe have a 10-minute coffee chat with you, I don't know how many people know what a coffee chat is. It's an online 10-minute meeting where you just break the ice with that person. You just talk about what you've been doing, you learn more about their work, and then you set the priority. You tell them, I want you as my mentor. Coffee chats are 10-minute conversations, जो most people say yes to because they are busy, but they know कि 10 minute तो they can still give, right? If you suddenly reach out to someone and say, I love your work, I would love to get on a 1 hour meeting, maybe they won't have the time. If you tell them, I want a 10-minute coffee chat with you, most people will respond. So, number one, be very strategic about it. Don't say ki, and be very understanding about it as well. 10 minutes they can give, but in those 10 minutes, make the most out of it and make sure ki you find the right person in the right industry and you commit to it. Just reach out to them, update them every 3 weeks, tell them what you're facing difficulties in. They will be ready to support. Most of us, we don't realize that there are people out there who are ready to help, but we don't know how to reach out for help. And just in
That's
case you are
very
someone who wants, yes, yes. So just in case you feel like you want an offline mentor, that's actually thoda sa simpler. But again, it's difficult to find the right people. Offline mein, if you've been to an event, you've been to a networking event, anywhere you feel like this person inspires me so much, they have a similar journey or a journey I want to work on, you connect with them. Make sure you connect with them on chat as well so that you can update them ki, remember we had a conversation, I wanted you as one of my mentors. Keep the conversation going. Offline mein, what happens is you can even set up meetings depending on how their availability looks like. So yeah, those would be my few ways of how you can get a mentor. But yeah, the main thing is commit to it and just update them so that you don't lose out on that professional connection.
Okay, that was a very elaborate answer. Hope it answers the questions of many students. Okay, so next question is from No Flow.
I know that person asked about revenue and we went to mentorship, but revenue,
So
mentorship,
it's
all of
no
it goes
issue.
hand in
Okay,
hand.
it is all part of the same thing. Okay. So
Yes.
next question: what's your key advice on using LinkedIn effectively? It's a very broad question.
Okay. Wow. I'll give you 2, 3 steps. The key advice is get started. Number one, even if you're someone who's not wanting to create content, nobody needs to create content on LinkedIn to be active. If you are someone who's interested, go ahead. If you feel like my content is not my thing, but I still want to use LinkedIn for my advantage, make sure basic optimized profile ho. You reach out to 2 new people every week. Have a good reach out DM so that it leads the person to answer to you basically. And if you need any help in that, I can always help on LinkedIn itself, so you can reach out to me there. But again, if you want to use LinkedIn effectively, make sure you're active, you have a good optimized profile, you network well, and you tune into jobs and opportunities that you know you want to get into. So most people, they say ki, yaar, I miss this post, I miss this post from my dream company. Turn on the notifications, stay active on the app. Even if you're not someone who wants to create content, chote steps can make sure that you don't miss out on your dream opportunities, right? So those would be the things. If you're someone who wants to maybe use LinkedIn effectively as a creator, then it's a whole different ballgame. Then you will have to have an optimized profile, you will have to have good posts, you will have to be consistent. So wo sab, I don't know if most people are wanting to be creators. I think people want to make the most out of LinkedIn as a platform. And in the age that we are living in today, आज के time पे, I think students can make a lot out of LinkedIn. Jobs ho, opportunities ho, network ho, again mentors ho, you can also understand through LinkedIn whether you want to explore corporate or entrepreneurship. Of course, you will have to get into those experiences to understand better, but usse bhi you you really understand कि ठीक है, this is an opportunity, this is the gap that a lot of people in the industry are facing, because LinkedIn पे everything that is happening is from professionals. So even if you're an entrepreneurial mind, even reading a few posts, learning about a few things, you can see कि maybe this is a gap I can step into. तो information point of view से भी you can make a lot out of LinkedIn. So yes.
Thank you for the answer. Hope it answers the question. So this is the last audience question we'll be taking now. The last question is from Katyayani. So what's your take on the future of content writing since AI is here?
Okay, I've been answering this question for so long nowadays. Number one, AI will. I've talked to a lot of creators across the past few months, and I've realized that everybody has a common point. That AI can help you in creating content, but whenever we talk about content creators or content writers, right, on social media, everybody knows that people follow people who they connect with on an emotion level. Either there's some emotion attached to a creator. You don't follow everyone in the fashion industry if you are someone who's intrigued by fashion. You don't follow everyone who is a marketing expert on Instagram. Even if you are someone who's into marketing, you follow those people who you connect with on an emotion humanly level. You feel like, हाँ, this person talks sense, इस बंदे ने बहुत अच्छी information बताई है, ये reels पे work करेगा. So number one, AI might create that content, but AI can never bring the humanly emotions to it, honestly, because AI is not human. That's the very basic thing, right? So I would say the future is that both of them will coexist. A lot of creators might benefit from AI, but again, a lot of creators will still continue without AI because of the simple fact that whenever you read a chat GBT generated post, you are able to make out it's chat GBT generated.
Yeah.
Even if it's very helpful, you will know that because उसमें वो human emotions नहीं है, right? And so yeah, I think in terms of my opinion, I know very well कि both of them will coexist. Of course, we don't know what will happen in the future because AI is genuinely very scary as well. But then again, in terms of content writing will continue because a lot of people will still choose human emotions, because we as people, we definitely, I personally follow only people जहाँ पे I feel like emotional connect है. And I know most of us, human psychology, our minds are connected to people जिनके emotions से भी connect, or the way that they write, right? The emotions they invoke in us. So yeah, I think that's pretty much my answer.
Thank you for answering the question. So, okay, this was the last question. Now it's so. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today. For our listeners who might be inspired by your story, what advice would you give to young individuals looking to make a difference in the world?
Okay. I'll give you one advice, which is to start now and to stop procrastinating, because I think that was the advice one of my mentors gave me, and I realized, yeah, I need to just stop also overthinking and just try out whatever interests me. So that would be my simple advice. Get started, stop procrastinating, and get out of your comfort zone. I know it sounds very cliche. I've had it as a poster in my room for years before I even realized what it means, right? So
Yeah,
try to get out of your comfort zone one step at a time, and you'll understand what it means and you'll enjoy it, or you'll get the biggest lessons, which is also very helpful for you as in terms of your personality. So yes.
yeah. Also, would you like to share your favorite personal quote as a content writer, which you follow the most?
I think it's this only, that you need to step out of your comfort zone. I constantly remind myself because,
Yeah,
again, I get very comfortable in a space and I'm like, no, how can I get out of my comfort zone from this space? And then I experiment with something else. And most of the times, either I get a good, positive lesson out of it, or it becomes a success. So either ways, it's a win-win for us, right? So yeah, that's why I always say, try to get out of your comfort zone. Don't think of it as a philosophical quote. Think of it as a very
yeah.
practical, actionable quote.
That was a great answer. So that concludes today's episode of E-Cell Radiance. A big thank you to our guest for joining us. Remember, entrepreneurship knows no age, and there's always a way to make a positive impact. Until then, next time, this is Ishan signing off. Stay inspired, stay entrepreneurial. Thank you, Palak ma'am, for joining.
Thank you so much.